This podcast is about why we need an Internet Bill of Rights, IBOR, Internet Bill of Rights. If you've been hearing my podcast recently, you know that I've been the subject of extreme censorship by YouTube, Google, Facebook, and others, but especially YouTube that cut off my channel recently. It was called The Health Ranger, and that entire channel was terminated by YouTube, destroying over 10 years of videos, 1,700 different videos, 350,000 subscribers, subscribers, and millions of views. I don't even know how many millions. But because of this, it's been a tipping point for a lot of people that I've heard from that have said, we realize that if they could censor the Health Ranger, they could censor anybody, right? Because it's not, I mean, my channel espouses views that some of them are unpopular against the status quo, which is actually the most important expression of free speech, is to protect unpopular views. But no one is asserting that, that I'm somehow working as a puppet for the Russians or anything like that. That's not even in the realm here. It's just that they don't agree with what I'm saying. But that's what free speech is for. You're supposed to protect the free speech of those with whom you disagree. In fact, as it's famously said, if you don't agree, if you don't support the free speech of those with whom you disagree, then you don't support free speech at all. Because if free speech is limited to just popular conforming speech, then it isn't really free speech, is it? But that's the way YouTube is trying to make it. And it's so bad now that even the President Trump, is aware that we need an Internet Bill of Rights. And to explain how that might work, think about the First Amendment, which prohibits the government from restricting the free speech of citizens or the freedom of religious expression. But the First Amendment was not written in a time when corporations were the greatest threat to your speech. It was written in a time when governments were the big threat. So now the First Amendment needs to be extended effectively to powerful corporations, the dominant gatekeepers of public speech, public debate, and online content. So a law needs to be drafted. I'm sure it already has been drafted. It needs to be passed, signed into law, that would say that these internet gatekeepers, which would have to be defined, of course, internet gatekeepers cannot restrict people's speech based on the content of their speech unless it is, blatantly illegal, such as condoning murder or whatever definition they want to use. There are obviously limits to free speech, such as, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater and so on. You can't call for someone to be murdered. But aside from that, speech needs to be protected, even if it's unpopular speech or a minority view. If you think about it, a lot of my views are minority views that are becoming more popular, by the way. A lot of the things that I talked about 5 years ago, which were considered at the time to be totally fringe, are now widely recognized by lots and lots of people, such as the dangers of pharmaceuticals, the corruption of the EPA, for example, the dangers of biosludge. I've been one of the biggest people or voices speaking out about biosludge and pollution through raw sewage recycling and things like that. So a lot of the times I start out in an area that is considered fringe, and then as people become informed, that area becomes mainstream. 10 years ago, if I was talking about, hey, your TV is spying on you, people would say, oh, you're a tinfoil hat wearing, lunatic. Today, it's Wall Street Journal reporting on Samsung smart TVs spying on you. You see what I'm saying? What used to be fringe has become mainstream. And if you say today, hey, your electronics are spying on you, that's not even considered out there anymore. It's like, oh yeah, Amazon Echo, it's listening to everything you say. It's recording you. That's not even fringe. So this Internet Bill of Rights needs to be passed and put into law to protect the speech of individuals precisely like me. Individuals who protect the boundaries of free speech. We exercise free speech and thus demonstrate its importance to public conversation. But you see, the radical left-wing tech giants, these technology companies that are controlled by leftists, they're bigots. They're intolerant. They say that they want to just destroy the voices that they don't agree with based on their own political biases. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. And that's exactly what they're doing. And sometimes they claim they're doing it to crack down on bullying. But according to the left, what is the definition of bullying? Well, a bully is anybody who disagrees with a leftist. If you think there aren't, endless infinite genders, then you're bullying the LGBT community. No, maybe I'm actually just citing genetic science. The XX and XY chromosomes. Maybe I'm just rooted in biological reality rather than your silly unicorn delusions, you see. But they call it bullying, or they call it hate speech. If you argue with a transgender person about anything, all of a sudden it's hate speech. Just like when Obama was president, you couldn't criticize any of his policies because you were called a racist. Well, wait a minute. We're arguing about policies, not about skin color. You can't criticize his economic policies because he happens to be black. He's not even 100% black. He's like less than 25% black. So what is that? Is it 25% racism and 75% debate? How does that work? It's insane. And I've often said, we're all our ancestors are from Africa. We're all African Americans. Anyway, the whole point of just racism and skin color and all those arguments are just lunacy to begin with. They make no sense at all, especially when you've got people like Elizabeth Warren who just says she's a Native American Indian. Why? Because she just feels like one. She just made that shit up. At least when I say I'm Native American, I actually have ancestors who are Native Americans in my bloodline. Whereas Elizabeth Warren just makes it up. It's hilarious. So anyway, we need an Internet Bill of Rights, and it's hard to enforce, I understand, but we have to set some kind of level playing field standard. The proper role of government in many areas, including, let's say, Wall Street and investment and banking, is to simply protect a level playing field. Let the free market of ideas rock and roll. But that requires a level playing field where everyone has an equal opportunity to have a voice. Don't you find it fascinating that the left demands equality while they're censoring people with whom they disagree? Well, what about equal voice? What about equal access to these public spaces like YouTube or Facebook or even Google search results? These are basically public commons areas now in the online community, the internet, which is the dominant technology and communication system of our era. And yet the left doesn't believe that people who have unpopular views should have equal access. You're supposed to be discriminated against, according to YouTube, because they don't like your ideas. And what are their ideas? Well, they're lunatics and they're totalitarians, which they prove by censoring my channel. It's funny. It's like I go on my channel and I make a bunch of videos and podcasts and I say, watch out, we're all going to be censored. And then YouTube will cite, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. We're going to censor your channel because you're spouting conspiracy theories. And thus, by censoring the channel, they prove that what I was saying is absolutely true. And they don't see the irony, apparently, in any of this. But the people do. Trust in Google and YouTube is plummeting. More and more people are waking up every day and realizing that Google and YouTube are incredibly evil. And the people who work there are evil as well. They are evil people. And they abuse their power to silence people. They destroy freedom of speech. They attack this country. They attack liberty and law and reason and logic. They are dangerous. They are totalitarians. And they are the dominant technological gatekeepers of our modern internet. And that's why they need to be regulated. So support the Internet Bill of Rights. It's very important to do that. Start talking about it. Spread the word. I'll talk about it more. And of course, check out my new free speech video platform. It's coming soon. It's called Real.video. You can read my article content at naturalnews.com. Thank you for listening. Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger. Take care.
Learn more at healthrangerreport.com.
Thank you for watching. If you want to support our mission, visit us at healthrangerstore.com for the world's largest selection of lab-verified superfood and nutritional products for healthy living. It's at healthrangerstore.com.